ESPN dropped, if you guys have ESPN Plus, they dropped their post mini camp roster rankings. So I know where the Browns are at. I went and looked at the article. Where do you guys think they have the Browns?
Probably somewhere in the middle. I guess it kind of depends on what they think with Deshaun, because if Deshaun doesn't play this year, we're not going to be winning the division or anything. I'll probably be 15, 16.
That's true. It's projecting stuff right now is just so tough until this decision comes out, but I'll say like 12.
So my original guess was 15, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
But that is not where we're at.
No.
This was your article. You want to tell us where we're at?
So I sent it to these guys because I was pretty surprised where we fell. ESPN has the Browns ranked number 6 in the league.
Did they give an explanation for that?
Yes.
Yeah. They have a really good roster. That was the explanation.
6.
They basically said their biggest strength is they've always had a great offensive line. They're an excellent running back team. Their running back room is loaded. They said that their weaknesses are, pretty much interior defensive line, which I think that we all pretty much agree on. And their X factors were receiving room, but mostly Amari Cooper, David Bell, and what third-year receiver Donovan Peoples-Jones does. Best in the AFC North, though, by the way.
Well, did they talk about Deshaun, though?
They did not, and they actually have Deshaun as the quarterback.
Yeah, on the depth chart.
Yep.
Then that makes sense.
Highest, like you said, highest AFC North team, so suck it. And that's not us. We don't work for ESPN. The next AFC North team's the Bengals at 8.
Yep.
And then the next, the Ravens come in at 12. And then didn't you say the Steelers were in the 20s?
22nd. Yep.
22nd for the Steelers. That sucks for them. So round out the top 10, though, I will say number 1, the Bills. I think that's fair.
Yes.
Number 2 is Tampa Bay. That one was a little surprising to me. I guess, they were just in the Super Bowl 2 years ago. I think losing Gronk hurts, but Cameron Brate's pretty good tight end. Chargers are at 3. Rams at 4, coming off their Super Bowl win. This was the one I thought was a little high, was the Green Bay Packers at 5. Mostly because they're listen to this, their weakness is the wide receiver room. It says the fact that Green Bay ranks this high despite having one of the worst receiving corps in the league speaks to the strength of this roster everywhere else. Allen Lazard, Randall Cobb, and Sammy Watkins are the 3 established receivers on the roster, and none of them was among the 63 wide receivers who averaged more than 1.5 receiving yards per route run in 2021. Allen Lazard, Randall Cobb, and Sammy Watkins are, at best, number 3 receivers.
That's fair.
At best. Mm-hmm. Randall Cobb's probably like a 4 these days.
Yeah, I think so.
I'd say Lazard is a 3, and Watkins is probably a 3 on most teams.
The only one I would argue is Lazard's never had the opportunity to be anything higher than a 3, so we'll see. I don't know if he can be, but...
So, to me, I wouldn't have him at 5 because that's an atrocious wide receiver room.
That's not good.
That's the worst one in the league, easily. I just don't think you can be a top 5 roster. It's a passing league. The one reason why your team is so good is because you have a great quarterback. Who's he going to throw to? I would have him probably closer to like 10 or 11 because of that. So that was the one that was a little surprising to me. I think it's funny that the Browns are above the Bengals, who just played in the Super Bowl. And I think it's really funny that the Ravens aren't in the top 10. But if you ask a Ravens fan, they're loaded.
Number 1, baby.
Number 1 team, number 1 coming for you. Ravens flock always. They'll tell us how much all their running backs weigh.
Lamar Jackson's going to go over 5,000 yards this year. Yeah.
So
on the ground.
We'll see.
More likely, yeah.
It says, so for the Ravens, the biggest weakness, the Marquise Brown trade thins what was already one of the league's worst wide receiver groups.
I agree with that.
Baltimore is going to operate out of a lot heavier personnel groupings to feature fullback Patrick Ricard and tight ends Mark Andrews, Nick Boyle, and Isaiah Likely. And it says the Ravens could still use a proven veteran who can win one-on-ones on the outside. Rashad Bateman projects as the team's top option after averaging 1.3 yards per route run, 83rd among 128 qualifying wide receivers. You're hoping he takes a big jump.
A big one. Yep.
And I know you can say, well, they're a running team, but at the end of the day, you still have to throw the ball a little bit.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, I mean,
Especially in this league. We've talked about this, and this is why I know I had Baltimore so low in our AFC North projections is because of that. Like, I just don't think that they've got the firepower to keep up with these high explosive offenses in the AFC and, the schedule that they have to play.
yeah. What do you think about the Chiefs being down at 9? Is that surprising to you?
What was their reasoning? What was the write-up on them? It is a little bit.
If I had to guess, it's because they lost a top 3 wide receiver in the league.
Yep.
But I still think their wide receivers are better than Green Bay's.
Yeah, but then their defense probably not as good.
That's true.
So to me,
And their running game, I guess, wouldn't be as good.
right behind them, and I guess it hearing it at first, you might be a little surprised, but the Dolphins at 10.
Ooh.
What do you think?
I have one even worse than that. At 7, they have Philly.
To me, that's
What?
Yeah.
At 7?
Philly is at 7. Now, don't get me wrong; they've made some nice additions, but to me, I still see like 7 and 9 Philly. Like
Does this say like they about their offensive line and
It says their biggest strength is if they don't have the best offensive line in the NFL entering the 2022 season, they're near the top of the list. Well,
Okay.
they don't have the best line because
no? But I'm sure. But it's a good
It's in
line.
Cleveland.
It is a good line.
Yep.
biggest weakness is their defensive secondary, I guess is what it's saying without reading it word for word. And their X factor is, it's Jalen Hurts. It's kind of like Miami. If he plays well, they might be decent. I don't know. I just get the sense that Philly's going to be the team with hype this year that sucks.
I
Yeah.
can see that.
But they could easily win the NFC East.
That helps them.
Yeah,
That
does.
helps them a
I think
lot.
their offense on paper looks really, really good.
This is true.
So this is a roster ranking, though. And this isn't a prediction of record.
Correct.
Right. Yeah.
So
Correct.
Jalen Hurts at QB, Miles Sanders at running back, Kenneth Gainwell at running back, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, and Quez Watkins, Dallas Goedert, and then their offensive line. A.J. Brown's good. I think the jury's still out on Devontae Smith.
I think it's a lot easier for him this year with A.J. Brown there.
That'll help for sure. Quez Watkins. So the highest rated player on their team is A.J. Brown in 86. Well,
No, Dallas Goedert.
Goddard's in 90.
Yep.
So I don't know. I don't think I wouldn't have them that high. I don't think they're awful, but to have them at 7, to have them only
Pretty high.
one per team below the Browns, I don't know. That's a little crazy to me. Miami at 10, it might sound high at first until you remember they got Waddle, Gesicki, Tyreek Hill, Raheem Mostert. Their defense is already stacked, especially at cornerback.
This is true.
Basically, if Tua plays well, Miami could be tough. They could give Buffalo a run for their money. Another one that I think is kind of surprising here. Did you have one?
Mine was Philly, but I thought they had, Washington at 17, I believe. So Washington was 17, but then we talked about it. They have, I think, Las Vegas at 21. They have Commanders above the Patriots. Who knows? The Vikings and Tennessee Titans and the Raiders, and it's like
Where's the Vikings?
19.
So a couple surprises for me here as I'm scrolling through this list. The Raiders at 21, I think, is crazy low. They have Derek Carr, Devontae Adams, Hunter Renfrow, Darren Waller, and
Josh
Jacobs. I don't know. To
Pretty
me,
decent.
that's higher than 21. I don't think the Commanders are in a bad spot, but I'd have the Vikings over them. Probably.
Yeah, I would
Yeah.
too.
I think the Vikings. We'll see with their new coach. I think they had a chance to be pretty good. They got a chance to win that
Give me
division.
Kirk Cousins, Dalvin Cook, and Justin Jefferson over what the Commanders got.
Well, how about this one? Even better. So you have Washington at 17. At 23, they have the Arizona Cardinals. And I'm like, I would take the Cardinals over the Commanders
Yeah,
for sure. Really?
I would.
Okay, thanks,
I would.
Josh. I
I think
appreciate
the
that.
Commanders they're a little bit slept on if you look at their roster.
The only thing that's getting slept on is it sounds like all the people that work in the organization with the head of football operations, bro.
I mean, if you think about their defense is loaded. Chase Young, Montez Sweat. I mean, they can get after the passer. I guess Jamin Davis is he's looked a lot better in camp, so we'll see about how he does. But then their offense, I mean, they got Terry McLaurin, Curtis Samuel, Jahan Dotson. The running backs are good. Carson Wentz just had a pretty good season. Carson Wentz just had a season that if he was a Cleveland Brown, people would be screaming that we should be giving him $200 million. I mean, so I think they're in a good spot at 17. I don't think they should be lower. I think it's funny that the Patriots are at 18. I think, to me, they're a team that falls off like heavy this year. I don't think they're going to be that good at all.
I will honestly, if they're not good, I'll be surprised. I think they'll be okay.
I think they're
early reports out of the camp so far this summer. I know it's just camp and all that crap, but I guess Mac Jones showed up dialed in and in shape, ready to rock and roll. So we'll see. We'll see.
Yep.
Their wide receiver one's Devontae Parker.
I know.
Their number 3 is Kendrick Bourne.
But the Patriots historically make do with guys that you're like, who? Didn't he play for so-and-so last year? Oh, that was 3 years ago? I don't remember.
They're not going to win their fantasy
when
league.
They had,
no,
they'll
exactly.
win you football games.
They did that when they had the GOAT.
Their one is Jacoby Myers.
Yep.
Oh, okay. Jacoby. Well,
I mean, it might not be listed that way, but that's their one.
But still, they got away with that for a long, long time. Well, one, the league was a lot different. And then 2, they had Tom Brady at quarterback. Mac Jones is no Tom Brady.
No.
So I see a fall off from them. What else was I looking at? The Raiders we already mentioned. Arizona, I don't know. I'm just not high on Arizona. DeAndre Hopkins isn't playing for how long?
6 games.
That's going to hurt.
But I thought this was a roster ranking, though.
Yep.
Or are they taking that into account?
No, I guess that's true. I guess he's technically on the roster, so they have him on there. I don't know, and I'm not that sold on Kyler.
No, but I still think with Hopkins and Marquise Brown and the other, who's they got? Go ahead.
Who would you rather have? This is going to mess up your point, but who would you rather have, Carson Wentz or Kyler Murray as your quarterback?
I think, like,
boy,
all the reports are that Carson Wentz is such a pain in the butt to have on your team. Like,
it's not like Kyler Murray is getting glowing recommendations either.
No, I'd honestly rather have the bigger, taller quarterback. Kyler Murray's so freaking small.
He's tiny.
He is tiny.
I agree with you.
He's athletic.
That's
but Carson Wentz can move around too.
Yes.
I've seen him move around just enough to get slammed by somebody coming to sack him.
I mean, probably Kyler, but I don't think that's a super clear cut. I don't know. I don't think Kyler Murray is like.
He's not long for the league, I don't think.
I don't think so either. I think he does some splashy things, so people are super high on him, but he has not played at a consistent level yet in his career. So, and then he seems to be a little bit of a head case also.
No, and like we've talked about before, you see it now in the NFL. Like if a quarterback doesn't come out and show you he's the guy in the first couple years, that the team is going to move on.
Yep.
So in here, before we move on, to the people saying that they think if Baker goes to Seattle, he's super successful, their roster's ranked 29th.
And where's Carolina?
26th, maybe.
Okay, so it's
27th.
Yeah.
Now who's dead last?
Houston.
Oh, duh. What am I thinking?
And it goes so Houston at 32, the Falcons at 31, the poor Bears at 30, Seattle at 29, Jacksonville at 28, Carolina at 27, the Giants at 26, and the Lions at 25. And then I think the other New York team's 24th. So the Texans, I can't imagine they're going to be very good this year.
What's going on, Browns fans? The action never ends at DraftKings Sportsbook, especially this summer. With tons of ways to bet on all your favorite sports, you can fuel your fandom and feel the heat of the season like never before. Plus, right now, DraftKings Sportsbook is giving new customers a risk-free bet up to $1,000. It's a lot of dough. That's right. Make your first bet up to $1,000, and if it doesn't win, you'll get another shot to cash in. You can throw down on all the major action on baseball, golf, MMA, and more. Plus, with same-game parlays, spreads, money lines, over-unders, and props, your betting options never feel endless. Best of all, DraftKings is safe, secure, and reliable. You can deposit and withdraw your cash whenever you want. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code TPPN. Make your first deposit and get a risk-free bet up to $1,000. That's promo code TPPN only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Look forward to betting with you soon, and minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See show notes for details. God bless.